Have you ever wondered what happens at the exact moment when life just stops? I'm not talking about a theory, a belief, or a spiritual book. I'm talking about the actual moment when your heart slows down, sounds fade away, and your consciousness seems to float away to a place that no longer belongs to this world. I don't know exactly when I died. I just remember the pain suddenly disappearing, and the silence. Everything seemed normal that morning. I was on my way to work, thinking about bills, the weather, my routine. But in a matter of seconds, the impact, the confusion, the blackout came. And that's when something impossible happened. During this near-death experience, where my body was immobile for minutes, my soul was taken to a place that defied any logical explanation. A place where there was no time, no fear. It's just a feeling of peace so profound that it seemed to have belonged to me forever. But what struck me most was not the silence, nor the light. It was who I found there. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover now could change the way you see life and what comes before it. I know it may seem strange to say this, but in that place where time did not exist, I felt that everything made sense. There was no pain, there was no rush, just a gentle, almost maternal presence that enveloped me completely. And it was in that absolute silence that I realized I was not alone. Something or someone was waiting for me there. Familiar. Energy, as if our paths had crossed before. But not in this life. It is difficult to put into words what I felt, but perhaps you, who are listening to me now, have also experienced something that you could not explain. A premonition, a vivid dream, an encounter that seemed destined. This subject resonates with you. Leave here in the comments what touched you the most, or if you have had a similar experience. I read each one, and believe me, this helps a lot to create a community of people who see beyond the visible. Enjoy and like this video. It shows that this type of content has value to you. And if you want to continue walking with me through stories like this, subscribe to the channel. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with the same thirst for meaning. And it was exactly there, between that serene light and that living silence, that something absolutely unexpected happened.
What?
I saw or felt in that place cannot be put into words. There were no walls, no streets, no defined shapes like the ones we know here. But there was light, a bright, soft light that didn't come from above or from the side, but seemed to emanate from everything. It wasn't like sunlight, which blinds or warms. It was a light that welcomed. And the strangest thing, I knew I wasn't dreaming. My body was back there, on a stretcher, or in a cold room. But my consciousness was more awake than ever. It was as if every part of me finally remembered who I really was. Time didn't pass there. There was no urgency, no counting. Just a peace that seemed eternal. Many people who have had near-death experiences describe something similar. Dr. Raymond Moody, one of the greatest researchers on the subject, has cataloged hundreds of reports with common elements. The light, the absence of fear, the feeling of returning to a familiar place, as if we were just going home. And that's the part that affects me the most to this day. Because even though I had never been there before, I knew exactly where I was. And, more than that, I knew that someone was waiting for me. This feeling of welcome was as real as the ground beneath my feet now. But it wasn't a physical welcome. It was as if existence itself was saying, you are loved, you are safe, you're a part of something much bigger. I remember wondering if this was the heaven that so many people describe in religion, but it was unlike any image I'd ever seen. It was less about a place and more about a state. A kind of hidden truth that had always been there, but that the rush of life had kept us from seeing. Everything seemed clearer there, not just in vision, but in understanding. Decisions I had made, pain I had carried, even people who had passed. Through my life, everything made sense. Not because someone had explained it, but because I simply knew. It's as if for a moment I had access to the backstage of existence. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject. Comment here. That makes sense to me. It was then that I felt something different in the air, as if the light around me vibrated differently, as if someone was approaching, even though there were no footsteps. And suddenly, I saw it. My child. She was smiling, and that smile carried an inexplicable calm, as if she had known everything before I had. But the strangest thing was the feeling of familiarity. I didn't know her. I had never seen her. And at the same time, something inside me knew. She was part of my story. Only in a way that hadn't happened yet. It was at that moment that I realized that child didn't exist here yet. She hadn't been born yet, and yet she was there, looking at me like someone who recognizes an old friend. There were no words, but I understood every single thing she told me. It was a kind of silent but powerful communication, a soul-to-soul dialogue. What she revealed to me completely disarmed me. I am your son, but it is not my time yet, and neither is it yours. You need to come back. I will be there. Those were the words that echoed inside me without sound. I remember feeling my chest tighten not with fear, but with a kind of longing that had not yet happened. A love anticipated that already existed before it even became real. That presence changed everything. Of all the things I experienced in that dimension, it was this encounter that left the deepest mark, because it wasn't just a vision. It was a hidden truth. A revelation that showed me that life doesn't begin at birth, nor does it end at death. It extends, prepares, connects on a level that our rational mind cannot yet reach. And the most impactful thing was realizing that that soul knew me. It knew who I was. It knew my path, my failures, my fears, and yet ... it was waiting for me. This caused a silent transformation within me, as if everything I thought I understood about time, about decisions, about purpose, had to be completely reorganized. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject. Write it down. I'm on this journey too. Waking up was like being pulled back by an invisible thread with force and urgency. A second before I felt that indescribable peace, and the next instant the weight of my body. The sound of the machines, distant voices, artificial lights. It was as if everything had become denser, and even with the confusion of that return, I knew I had come back different. The feeling was clear. I was no longer the same man who got into that ambulance. Not after what I had experienced. Not after that encounter. The days that followed were silent but intense. I looked at the world with different eyes. Things that had previously consumed me, deadlines, vanities, opinions suddenly seemed small, not insignificant, but out of focus, as if the lens had been adjusted. I thought about the child I had seen, and I felt deep down that she was still there, waiting for the right moment. That experience reconfigured my mentality, showing me that each decision has more weight than we imagine, because everything we experience here in some way reverberates. There my faith, which had previously been more of a formality than a conviction, became something alive, not because I was afraid of death, quite the opposite. From that day on, I stopped fearing the end. I began to focus on how I was living. The impact of that was so profound that it made me rethink what purpose is. Not a great feat, nor an unattainable mission, but the daily choice to live with presence, with affection, with meaning. I came to believe that nothing, absolutely nothing, is by chance. That there is an invisible backdrop behind our pain, encounters, and even the setbacks in life. That perhaps we need to touch this other side to remember what really matters. This experience showed me that, behind the veil of matter, there is a type of hidden truth that transforms those who have the courage to look. Now, I want to go even deeper into this subject. Comment here. This truth also touches me. The years passed, and little by little, that memory settled into a discrete place in my soul. Not that I've forgotten, because some experiences cannot be erased, but the routine, commitments, the life here, with its noise and deadlines, ends, upcovering even the most sacred memories with dust. Still, there was something different in me since that day. A greater sensitivity, a silent connection with the invisible. And it was with this more attuned listening that one day, years later, everything came back with force. My son was only 3 years old. We were at home on a normal afternoon when he looked at me with an expression that froze my body. It was the same look, the same peace, the same presence that I felt in that other place. He put his hand on my face and said something as simple as it was devastating. "I found you, Daddy." It took a while, but I came, and in that moment I knew. It wasn't just imagination, nor a childish coincidence. It was him, the soul that visited me when I was between worlds. It's the same one that asked me to come back because he was waiting for me. I tried to rationalize, to look for logical explanations, but the truth is that none of this needed to be explained. It just needed to be felt. That was more than a moment. It was a confirmation. As if the universe had given me a sealed note saying, yes, that was real. And now you understand why. That encounter sealed a profound transformation, made me see life with more delicacy and respect. Because everything, absolutely everything, seems to have a hidden purpose. Maybe it's not about believing in reincarnation, destiny, or spiritual dimensions. Maybe it's just about realizing that there's something bigger at play. That some connections transcend time and matter. That there are encounters that don't begin here. They just meet again. Now I want to go even deeper into this subject. Comment here. Maybe life just goes on. If you've made it this far, it's because something in this content really touched you.
Us.
And that's why I invite you to subscribe to the channel, so we can continue exploring together these deeper layers of existence, which don't always have an explanation, but almost always make sense. Take the opportunity to leave a comment below with the phrase, "I'm with you until the end." Just so I know that you came to the last second of this journey with me. This helps me understand who is really walking side by side in this type of reflection. If this video made you think, feel, or remember something special, leave a like. It's a simple but powerful way to strengthen this connection and show that this space makes sense to you too. And if you want to continue diving into topics like this, there's a video here that complements everything we talked about today. Click and continue with me there.